Welcome to Sportsballin. I'm Dylan Simmons alongside Seth Tackett and TJ Warner, and let's get right into the action. 15th seed St. Peter's stunned the basketball world when they took down Kentucky in a dramatic overtime victory. The Peacocks then followed up that success with a win over Murray State to advance to the Sweet 16. Guys, what is a bigger story, St. Peter's success or Kentucky's defeat?
Yeah, Dylan, in my opinion, it might be St. Peter's success because 15 seed to the Sweet 16, we always saw it last year with Oral Roberts, but that is still a miraculous thing to do as a 15 seed. Not only to beat Kentucky, but Kentucky has a National Player of the Year candidate in Oscar Tshiebwe. That is a big-time matchup nightmare for a 15 seed to have to go against. And not only did they stop him, they slowed him down really well and had a great game plan for him. Coaching-wise, St. Peter's had a great job against Kentucky, and Darryl Banks for St. Peter's dropped 27, was lights out from three. Man, the St. Peter's success and their game plan for that game was well above everything else.
Yeah, I believe it was Kentucky's defeat is probably the bigger story there, just because, like you said, all the talent that they had on that team, and not only to fall short in the NCAA tournament, but they also didn't get the job done in the SEC tournament as well. So to come off, that heartbreak and then follow that again with some more heartbreak against St. Peter's, you wonder what Kentucky, what they're going to look like next season.
I agree. I think it's a little bit about both when you look at this current story. St. Peter's is kind of a team of destiny, and if you want a comparison, I think that they're very similar to the FGCU, the Dunk City 2013 team, if you guys are familiar with them. Team of destiny. They're not the biggest, they're not the fastest, but they just had that it factor. And we've seen that all throughout this March Madness so far. They upended Kentucky. They fought. They had to go to overtime to get that victory, but they got it done, and then they defeated Murray State. And I think they've got some matchups, especially on the wing, that's going to give Purdue a very tough obstacle to overcome.
Yeah, for sure. And not only are they going to have to go against Purdue, but the kind of same game plan against Oscar. Purdue's got Travion Williams, a big 6'10" guy, but not forget Zach Edey, the big 7'4" guy for Purdue. That's going to be a tough matchup for them. Going to be interested to see how they play him, how different they play him than they played Oscar. It's going to be really fun to see.
Absolutely will be fun to see, and we're going to see how St. Peter's does as this season progresses forward, but can't wait to see how they will do in the remainder of March Madness. Moving on, the defending national champions went down in dramatic fashion as Baylor overcame a 25-point deficit to force overtime with North Carolina, but they would run out of gas to lose 93-86. Guys, was this more of a Bears collapse or a Tar Heels triumph?
No, in my opinion, this is, again, Tar Heels triumph because they ended the regular season, let's not forget, by beating Duke 94-81. They were a hot team coming in. This is not really, in my opinion, a big upset. Some people picked North Carolina to beat Baylor in the second round, and R.J. Davis, he's the fourth leading scorer on their team, so not one of their top three pieces. He went for 30, shot 5 for 10 against Baylor. When you have your fourth best player going for 30, that's definitely going to help you take down number one seed.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's a Tar Heel triumph for sure. And, an interesting note, too, this is the 5th straight year that the defending national champion has been bounced in the first 2 rounds. So, for whatever reason, we're seeing a continuous trend of the defending champions struggling. It's not even like, oh hey, we're not repeating. They can't make to the Sweet 16. So I'm interested to see how that develops over these next couple of seasons if we see that trend continue.
Yeah, I'm going to say this as well for Baylor. They've been a team that hasn't really impressed me as much. Going back to the Big 12 tournament, let's talk about that opening game against Oklahoma. This is a team that wasn't able to defeat Oklahoma in the first round of the Big 12 tournament. For me, that would almost bounce them from the 1 seed. So I was already having my doubts, but then they came in, they kind of looked flat starting out March Madness. I didn't know if they had that it factor. And it's almost like the team didn't wake up until midway through that North Carolina game. Then I think we saw the national title Baylor. We saw the team that handed Gonzaga a defeat on a silver platter last year. But unfortunately, it was too little too late, and they lost in overtime. So I got to agree with Seth here. I think there's a little bit of a hangover, and maybe Baylor felt that pressure applied to them, and it ended up hurting their overall performance. So I think that there is something to this whole national title hangover.
Yeah, R.J. Davis, though, going back to him, again, the 4th leading scorer on North Carolina Tar Heels, and led the team in scoring for 30. Not only that, but Brady Manick followed that up with 26. So when you have 2 players dropping 56 combined, especially one from your 4th leading scorer, that is a huge factor. And R.J. Davis, this game went into overtime. He played 45 minutes. They did not want to take him out of this game. He was definitely the it factor for them from start of the game to the finish of the game. Had six assists and 5 rebounds, 9 for 10 from the free throw line. This dude did it all for him against Baylor. And what you need, your guard play is going to take you far in the tournament. And when it's your 4th best player usually, and he can step up for 30 points and do this kind of performance, it's a lot easier to take down the number 1 seed doing it that way.
It really is. So moving on, more March Madness discussion. It's certainly been a tremendous March Madness so far, but it's not been too kind to those who aspire for the perfect bracket. There are now no perfect brackets remaining, and we haven't even reached the Sweet 16 play yet. Guys, kind of hate to ask, but how are your brackets holding up?
Well, speaking of my bracket, my bracket has not done too bad, but it's not done too well at the same time. My champion's still in, but I had Iowa going to the Final Four. That one kind of hurt me, Richmond taking them out first round. But other than that, I still have the rest of my Final Four teams and Elite 8 teams in the picture besides Iowa.
Yeah, my bracket is totally busted. I picked Tennessee to pull through and get the win this year, and that did not happen.
No,
Tennessee and Rick Barnes were unable to get out of the second round again. So a lot of other brackets been busted too, but that's the big one. Yeah, it's busted.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that later.
We'll talk more about that later. Tough weekend for Tennessee sports. Memphis, Tennessee, and Chattanooga all lost, but we'll see what happens. Maybe we'll see a perfect bracket sometime before we die. When we come back, we will discuss the latest in Tennessee pro sports, including the latest Titans, occurrences. Stick around.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right because a few hours ago in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign, not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a 4th ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
The black truck? Hey, Christina from accounting.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, I used to date a girl named Christina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then she dumped me for my best friend. You want to see some photos of them that I took?
I don't.
I thought we talked about this, buddy.
Buzz and overshared again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna call a car.
That's a smart idea.
So yeah, I know, that's why I did it.
Hey, you're gonna get back to the top of the mountain.
Does that mean I'm gonna get back with Christina?
No.
Oh.
No.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Sportsballin. The Titans made some significant moves in the past week by picking up wide receiver Robert Woods and tight end Austin Hooper. Both have been significant contributions to the Titans and Rams in the past, respectively. How does this impact the Titans' offense, guys?
Yeah, I think the Austin Hooper signing is the big one here. They're desperately in need for a tight end. We talked about earlier how they might go to Mike Gesicki way, but Miami Dolphins franchise tagged him. And Hooper's a big time get for the Titans, man. He is a vertical threat, pass. He can pass block. He can run block. He's a do-it-all type tight end. He's got great hands on him. The Browns did not use him very well after he came there from Atlanta. Had a tremendous career in Atlanta. Went to the Browns. Didn't really do much. Not really much targets. Not really good fit for his play style.
Yes.
Goes to Tennessee. I think he's going to have a huge season this year under Tennessee.
Yeah, and I think too for the Titans, guys they had on the roster like Jeff Swain and Michael Pruitt, they're pretty good tight ends, but they're not premier, they're not premier downfield threats. People aren't game planning for those guys. Now having Austin Hooper, that's someone that the defense has to account for in the game plan. And I think that's going to be the biggest difference next season.
I think so. And moving on to Robert Woods, this is a guy who has been pretty solid throughout his career. Going back to, let's see, we're going to go back here a few years with his time with the Rams. A guy who can produce some really good stuff on the slot side and did a great job in 18 through 21. Of course, he got traded away, but I think that was partially due to really just the overall stacking of the Rams wide receiver core. But he also played well in the past with guys like New England, and he's got a lot of talent overall. So I think that Robert Woods can fit the Titans scheme well, but I'm going to be interested to see how he works, especially when you consider him and A.J. Brown on the other side. Could create for a very interesting Titans offense with Tannehill at the helm. But kind of going back on that, do you guys think that this is the final two puzzle pieces in the Titans' Super Bowl puzzle?
Yeah, I just don't think so. I think the AFC is too loaded, and I don't think the Titans will be able to get it done if they keep the play style they're trying to do. If they try to rely on Derrick Henry and try to run the clock down, just time management, I don't know if that play style is going to put up enough points at the end of the day, because is their defense going to be able to hold teams off like Kansas City or the Chargers or literally anyone from the AFC West now with Russell Wilson and the Raiders and the Broncos as well. But AFC is going to be too deep, and with their type of play style, maybe they need to change up some game plan-wise before they can get over that hump. I
agree, and it's going to be something interesting to see here for the Titans. Very interesting 2022 on the horizon. The Predators picked up a nice 6-3 win over the Toronto Maple Leafs, and in the process, a franchise record was broken. Philip Forsberg broke a franchise record by scoring his 211th career goal, becoming the all-time Predators goal leader. Guys, how impressive is Forsberg's achievement?
Oh, it's incredibly impressive. To begin with, we really didn't even know if this was going to happen because there was so much discussion about Forsberg being moved.
Yes.
And that was even going back to last offseason up until the trade deadline, this year. So, we really did not know if he was gonna be on the team, to have the opportunity to get the franchise record. Thankfully, cooler heads prevailed. He was able to stay on the Preds, and just great to see that that record finally got broken.
Yeah, not only that, if it's an all-time record of any sorts for a franchise or league-wise as a professional, that's a huge achievement.
Huge deal.
That is one of many. He's a great player. It's going to be fun to watch the rest of the season for him.
Yeah, and following back on that, we see the Predators, of course, on screen right now. They're a team that had a great game last night, and they were going through a little bit of a slump earlier in the season. I bring it back to the Stadium Series game. They lost to Tampa Bay in Nashville. I think a lot of people wrote the Predators off, but they seem like they're finding some form. A big win over Toronto last night. They now sit at 4th in the Central Division. Playoffs are on the horizon, but they are really seeming like they're getting that chemistry back. And in hockey, that's so crucial because if you want to move the puck down the court correctly, if you want to be able to score goals in a quick, fast manner, you got to have that chemistry. And they are really moving forward as a team. And I'm sure we're going to see more of that as this season moves forward. Cannot wait to see how our Predators do. The Grizzlies picked up a dominant 122-98 victory over the Houston Rockets to move them to 49-23 overall. They did this all without Ja Morant and were led by Desmond Bane's 24 points. There's only 10 regular season games remaining, so guys, how are the Grizzlies stacking up?
Yeah, well, they're currently the second seed in the West behind Phoenix. More than likely, they're not going to catch Phoenix. They're 9 games back. But Desmond Bane and Dylan Brooks, let's not forget about them. They combined for 44 last night. That is huge. More than likely your 2 and 3 guy if Jaren Jackson is not playing up to his potential as he is scoring wise right now. But if your 2 and 3 scoring option can go for that without your number 1 on the floor, I think when Ja Morant comes back, that just adds another depth to this team, and they might make a deep playoff run.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if they're able to hold on to that second seed. Golden State's they're only at half or a game and a half ahead, excuse me. So it's going to be interesting to see if they hold that. But one good thing, too, Dylan Brooks back in the lineup. He had 20 points against the Rockets. Good to see him back and healthy.
Yeah, the Grizzlies are certainly going to be a force to be reckoned with, and I think they'll be real title contenders come time. They're looking to be a force to be reckoned with in this postseason as well, and we'll see how that moves forward. When we come back, it's time for debate and arguments with our hot takes of the week. Stay here on Sportsballin.
Son, love is like the ocean. You have to tread the
Oh,
waters.
Dad, that's not the kind of help I needed. Jessica, will you go to prom with me?
Yes.
Thousands of teens in foster care can't wait to share their first with you.
If I could go back and change it all, I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it all, if I could go back, I would. But I can't.
Once there was a boy who did the same thing again and again. One day, he was told he had autism. He got help and slowly learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Natural disasters are a fact of life in the U.S. And between activities and school, chances are you won't be with your kids when they happen. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids can help your children feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Put the keys down, Kevin.
But I'm gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
My text to emoji ratio has gotten a little out of hand.
A little?
Yep, I'm definitely gonna call a ride home.
Welcome back, everyone, to Sportsballin. You know what time it is. It's our hot takes of the week. TJ, what do you got for us?
Well, Dylan, for my hot take of the week, I have Michigan going to the Final Four in this year's March Madness. I take them because they're going to be a matchup nightmare, in my opinion, to Villanova. Hunter Dickinson, you saw what he did against Tennessee and just put on an absolute clinic. Eli Brooks, number 55 for Michigan, mid-range deadeye from the three. He's a sharp shooter as well. A smart player. He's been there for so long. They have a nice piece coming off the bench. Well, he started the first game, came off the bench against Tennessee. Frankie Collins, the freshman. If they get Jones back from injury, he left the Tennessee game. They get Jones back, man, Michigan's going to be a dangerous team to watch out for. So they'll play Villanova next, and then more than likely Arizona in the Elite Eight. Watch out for them going to the Final Four. Hunter Dickinson, definitely going to be a big part of that.
Yeah, I don't know if I would go as far to say Final Four, especially with Michigan's consistency challenges they've had. I mean, this is the first time they've won 2 games in a row in over a month, I believe it was. It's definitely been a while for Michigan. I mean, hey, they picked the best time to get hot, no doubt about it. And I agree with you that they're going to be, they're going to give trouble to Villanova. I totally agree with you there. But are they going to get to the Final Four? They've not been consistent enough throughout the whole season for me to feel like they got a shot at that.
Here's what I'm going to say. I was floored when I first saw this hot take because we're dealing with an Ohio State fan over here, and he's giving Michigan all this credit. And Personally, this is a little bit odd for me because I'm a Villanova fan. So here's what I'm going to say. I've looked at this matchup from a lot of different angles. I think Villanova overall just overpowers Michigan. I think that Colin Gillespie and the rest of the team have a lot of great chemistry right now. They've been on a great run. They've won so many games consecutively. They won the Big East Championship, and they looked really impressive against your Buckeyes. So I think that they have all the tools. Plus, even if Michigan gets past Villanova, they still have to contend with Arizona, the top seed, and I don't think they can beat them either.
Well, let's just put it this way. Michigan has been known to make tournament runs after tournament runs after tournament runs. As much as I hate to say it, they've made tournament runs in the Big Ten in the past years. They made tournament runs in the March Madness in the past years. This team, Juwan Howard, he's a good coach, part of the Fab Five, other than the altercation earlier this year. But he's a good coach at the end of the day, and he's getting this team playing hot at the right time after he's come back after his suspension. And watch out for the Wolverines. They're gonna make a real good case to go to the Final Four.
We'll certainly see what happens. Seth, your hot take?
All right, for my hot take, I've got the Titans' newest acquisition. Robert Woods is going to have 1,000 yards receiving this season. I know Robert Woods. He's coming off an injury, coming off an ACL injury too. To add with that, but with Robert Woods coming into the Titans' offense. Especially Titans adding Austin Hooper, and you already got Derrick Henry, and you have A.J. Brown. There's a lot that other teams are going to have to account for besides Robert. And I think it's going to open up a lot of opportunities for him to just, to be the open man, just be in soft coverages. And let's remember, too, last year he was on pace for 1,000 yards before he was injured. He had 556 yards when he went down, unfortunately. So I just feel like if he can stay healthy, which, again, that's the big question, but if he can stay healthy, I definitely believe that Robert Woods has a shot at 1,000 yards.
Again, you said if he can stay healthy. That is a big question because he has come off an ACL injury. That is definitely, in my opinion, going to affect his play. But not only that, he's going to be playing for the Tennessee Titans. And I don't know if you've watched, but the Tennessee Titans' best player is Derrick Henry, and they're going to run the dang ball because why would you not? You have King Henry in the backfield. But not only that, they have A.J. Brown and Austin Hooper. He's more than likely going to be the third receiving option in his own offense. In my opinion, a third receiving option is just never going to get 1,000 yards unless you're Kansas City Chiefs and you're throwing the ball 50 to 60 times a game.
Yeah, I'm going to keep my response short and sweet, but no, it's not going to happen. Too many receivers, Derrick Henry, enough said. All right, for my hot take of the week, in light of the Davante Adams trade, the Packers will not make the playoffs this year. They will miss them entirely. And I'm going to explain to you guys in simple terms because I know you're like cobras over there. You're just waiting to strike across the table. I'm going to explain to you why this is going to happen. Listen, Davante Adams was the best wide receiver in the league. He brought chemistry. He brought a dynamic to the Packers that is going to be sorely missed. We saw what happened to Aaron Rodgers when he couldn't throw to Davante in the 49ers game in the playoffs. That element's going to be gone now. Rodgers is not a guy who trusts a lot of receivers, and Davante was his most trusted receiver. Without him, the Packers are going to be, I think, completely different. It's not going to work out as well. Plus, they've got to deal with the 49ers, an emerging Rams team, the Buccaneers. They're all going to be there and all going to be top-heavy. I think the Packers aren't going to be as good. They've lost a lot of talent. Like I've said before, Zadarius Smith is another guy who will not be there anymore because, again, the Aaron Rodgers contract has messed all of this up going back to last week's hot take. So, guys, what do you have to say?
I mean, at the end of the day, they still have Aaron Rodgers, the two-time reigning MVP. But I kind of agree in a sense, but it's up to the Packers front offense, in my opinion, how they take the rest of this offseason into account and whatever moves they can make, even if it's draft-wise. They're going to have to get, like you said, Davante Adams is gone. They're going to have to get a wide receiver or two to probably replace him. They have some pieces in play, but it's up to the Packers front offense to get help for Aaron Rodgers. But at the end of the day, they still have Aaron Rodgers. He's that guy. So watch out for him. They're still going to make the playoffs. Even if they don't win the division, they more than likely will get the wild card spot.
Yeah, see, what I'm interested to see is now that the Packers have all this extra draft capital, are they actually going to use it wisely? Or are they going to pull another Jordan Love fiasco and pick another quarterback in the first round? I mean, let's be honest. It could happen because people thought there's no way they were going to trade up and draft Jordan Love, and they did. So I'm interested to see how they use this extra draft capital because, like you were touching on, if they have a good draft, if they draft well, I feel like they're going to be more than fine. Especially to, like I said as well, They got Aaron Rodgers, okay? Even if the draft doesn't go so well for him, I think Rodgers has the talent. He could get them to the postseason. Now, could they do anything? Could they make it back to the NFC Championship game?
Yep.
Could they make a Super Bowl run? That's a different story.
Maybe, potentially, but have you ever heard the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again? I think that's what we're going to see from the Packers. That's it for Hot Take of the Week. When we come back, we're going to have this week's picks. Stick around here on Sportsballin.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right because a few hours ago in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign, not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
The black truck? Hey, Christina from accounting.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, I used to date a girl named Christina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then she dumped me for my best friend. You want to see some photos of them that I took?
I don't.
I thought we talked about this, buddy.
Buzzed and overshared again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna call a car.
That's a smart idea.
So yeah, I know, that's why I did it.
Hey, you're gonna get back to the top of the mountain.
Does that mean I'm gonna get back with Christina?
No.
Oh.
No.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Sports Ball, and it's pick time. First up, we've got Middle Tennessee taking on Austin Peay tonight at 6 p.m. in baseball. Guys, who you thinking?
Yeah, I'm going for Austin Peay, actually. I'm taking Austin Peay over MT.
After the big comeback win over Old Dominion, I got MTSU.
I'm taking MTSU. I saw them play Austin Peay at home earlier this season. They got the job done. I think they'll do it again. The Nashville Predators will travel to L.A. to play the Kings tonight at 9:30 as well. Guys, who are you thinking?
Yeah, Predators are still trying to make that playoff run. I'm going to take the Predators in this one.
You know, I'm actually going to take the Kings. They're in a top playoff race for the top of the Pacific Division. I got the Kings.
Taking the Kings as well. I think that overall they've got the momentum right now. Second in Pacific, they're going to get it done. MTSU will take on Tennessee State in softball at 5 p.m. on Wednesday. Guys?
Yeah, I'm actually going to take MT softball in this one over Tennessee State.
Yeah, I'm going to go with MT softball as well. I was at the fall ball game when they played against each other, and MTSU took care of business. I say do it again.
I think they'll do the same thing. I think MTSU softball gets it done, wins this game. That is all the time that we have for today for Sports Ballin', but thank you all so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time, and remember to tune in every Tuesday morning to catch it here on BRTV, and make sure to catch the show anytime. For Seth Tackett and TJ Warner, I'm Dylan Simmons, thanking you all so much, and we'll see you next time on Sports Ballin'.